Honorable Men Discord. Black men don't like black women? Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Let's get straight to it. So, there's been a talk out there on TikTok about black men not liking black women. Now, that's something I've heard in person. I've heard it in real life, not on TikTok, but for the sake of this episode, we're talking about what someone's saying on TikTok. Now, I'm going to go through each of the videos that I have queued up, and then I'm going to speak about it after each video. So let's get into it.
Some of these black men TikTok accounts lives needs to be taken away. Because I am so convinced that black men do not like black women. They got a fucking problem with how educated we are. They have a problem with the challenges that we give. They have a problem with whether we're educated or 304s. They have a problem with it. Like, so many black men don't like black women so fucking much. They have a problem with us being overly educated. And they still have a problem with black women if they are hoes or single mothers or... Like, they just got a problem with no matter what the fuck we do. And I honestly feel like if black men as a whole was more adequate for us, like, being able to overall actually be able to provide for the whole entire household, they were more educated, business owned, just overall the overall what classify as a real man, just in general, they wouldn't have a problem with black women. They wouldn't have a problem about us being educated. They wouldn't have a problem with us being like, they wouldn't have a problem with it. Because regardless if you don't date a black hoe, you still go date a white hoe, a Mexican hoe, a Brazilian hoe, an Asian hoe. Make it make sense. Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. So I feel like because a lot of these black men out here isn't adding up to be shit, they automatically want a black woman to submit to them for no reason. And the black men that be on these podcasts, on these lives, on TikTok talking about, oh, black women don't submit, this and that, and no, baby, you just not a black man for a black woman to submit to. Or matter of fact, any fucking woman. So you go to a different race, that probably requires little to nothing. Not saying that a different race woman do, but it's easier to fool them than to fool us. Because the real black masculine, healthy masculine men don't have those problems. Don't have it. Because regardless if they come across a masculine woman, that man, being who he is, automatically, without words, without nothing, his presence alone forces that woman to submit to him, okay? So you just not him. You're not him. It's not us, it's you. You not it, okay? So yeah, go somewhere where it's more easier for you. Cause if you that, we don't want you. Like, so.
All right. Well, she said a lot. So if you see me looking off to the side, most likely I'm jotting stuff down. So obviously it's a case by case basis. I'm gonna speak my mind, and I'm sure there's some black men that will agree with me. Maybe there's some that will disagree with me. It's just how it is. It's never gonna be straight across the line. Everyone's gonna have the same opinion. But as far as a woman being educated. Let's take away whether or not she's black or not. I don't think any man is opposed to being with a woman that's educated. I think the only man that will feel threatened by that is a man who's insecure about his lack of education. But I don't see that as a threat at all. And I mean that, and I can say that as someone who with a college degree. Now, if I only had a high school diploma and the woman I was talking to had a college degree and a master's, I wouldn't feel any kind of way. It just comes down to the treatment. How am I being treated? Right? So education, I don't, for her to bring up education, I think part of the problem with that is that I think some women are using education as a tool to be able to say, I'm better than the guy. Because why are you bringing up education? Education is something an individual should want to get for their own individual self-progress. That shouldn't be something that's brought up when speaking about a relationship. Right? Because you can have a college degree, or you could have a master's, and so forth. And the person you're dating could maybe have a high school diploma, and they're better off than you because maybe they started a business that prospered, that flourished, So it's education, I don't know why that was brought up. Yeah, I don't know what she's trying to. Maybe she's dealt with people. Obviously, she's dealt with someone. I'm not even maybe. Obviously, she's dealt with individuals that felt threatened by her education. But to me, education is not something that would scare a guy off. I don't know why that would, unless they're just dealing with the female because they just for intimate moments, intimacy. So then they don't care about your education. They just care about your body and your looks. And that's a possibility. But education shouldn't be something where a guy says, oh, you're educated, let me run away from you. No. She mentioned something about providing for no reason. About women, I guess women providing for no reason. I don't understand that either. Because depending on the person you're dealing with, you should know whether or not they're worth you providing for them. I'm not sure. I don't really understand where she was going with that. But let me move on to the other thing I jotted down. She said, regardless if they come across as masculine, she's talking about men now. Regardless if the women come across as masculine, the man who's really him, I'm paraphrasing, the guy who's really him would have no problem with that masculine woman because she would automatically fall into submission to the him guy. Now, my thoughts on that is this. First and foremost, for me, and I'm sure many other men, why would we want to even deal with a female who is putting up such a wall and such a challenge in the early stages of interaction to get to the point of her submitting? There's nothing enjoyable about that. If there's one recipe about a man that you need to know is we like peace. And I don't necessarily think the majority of men want to go through war just to see if peace is on the other side of the war. What are we talking about? Now, you could be in a relationship and you go through moments of war together and you realize just how valuable you are to one another and you appreciate one another more. You appreciate one another more, right? But you don't want to go through war in the initial stages. So the initial reaction with one another, and has nothing, I know this is about black men don't like black women, but what black women need to understand is that men in general, we don't want to go to war with someone before we realize there's also peace that person provides. If you're an aggressive woman, and this goes for women of all nationalities, if you're an aggressive woman, if you have if you lack education, if you're ignorant, if you have foul language all the time, foul language is a huge turnoff for me. Huge turnoff. And this has nothing to do with black women. This is any woman. I don't care how attractive you are. Foul language is a complete turnoff. Now, what women need to also understand is, you might say, oh, well, I see black men with this woman and she doesn't, most of the times it's just because the woman's attractive. They'll get a pass just for intercourse. They get the pass. But long-term relationship, they end up losing too. Those women end up losing for the most part. And if they do manage to hang on to a guy, it's mainly because of their physical appearance, but it's not because the guy actually thinks that they're worth more than intimacy. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But black men are not running away from an educated woman, educated black woman, or woman of any nationality for that matter. So that wouldn't be the reason a black man runs away, unless he's, again, intimidated by your education, which he shouldn't be. But a man is not, I'm not interested in a masculine female. And it doesn't matter if she's black, white, Asian, Hispanic, it wouldn't matter. If you're super masculine, you're a turnoff. You're just a turnoff. You're a turnoff. Period. Let's get on to the next video.
So many black girls trying to figure out why black men don't like black women. I think I got an answer for you. I'm Ruquan, senior at Harvard, studying black history, and I grew up around black love, grew up in Washington, D.C., which is Chocolate City. So I felt and seen black love at every level, in the hood, in the schools, in office, in the businesses, on the street, whatever it is. And I come to Harvard and I experience something really different, where there's this war between black men and black women that's like, the black women hate the black men, the black men, some of them stay away from the black women to get a white girl or whatever. I realize what's happening is these two groups of people are not actually talking to each other. These two groups of people are listening to stories from their parents, and they're also experiencing things from each other, but they're not actually sitting down and having a conversation about their desires, about their fears. And since they're not doing that, it's going to be extremely difficult to arrive at a place where love can exist like this. Because a part of love requires intimacy and vulnerability. Vulnerability is about taking off the clothes, being free, being open, letting it be known and letting it be shown, sharing how you truly feel. Intimacy is about both parties doing that and then coming close together. If there is no vulnerability and intimacy, it's difficult for love to be experienced. It's not just that black women want a husband. It's not just that black men want a wife. Black men want to be loved and black women want to be loved. Just like white women want to be loved and white men want to be loved. But here's the thing. You only are going to be loved if you're both vulnerable and intimate, because that's the way that someone has an opportunity to truly pat you up where you're broken, kiss you where you hurt, and things of that nature. So what I'm saying is, like, it's a lot of people asking, like, oh, who's gonna love me? Who's gonna love me? They don't love me. He don't love me. She don't love me. But that same person is typically not willing to go and say, hey, I want to be loved. Here's where I'm broken. Here's where I hurt. Here's what I'm afraid of. Can you help me? And I think if that happens, then the outcomes will be better for both black men and black women.
Listen, I could end this video just off of this young man. And it took a young gentleman who's educated to say the things he said. I 1000% agree with this guy. And I jotted down 3 words that he used because they're important. Right? Feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability. All right? All right. So feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability. So this works on both sides. All right. This is not just this episode by no means is an attack on black women. So let's get that straight. All right. This is just to obviously the thumbnail is going to open some eyes and they're going to click on it because they're like, oh, what does this guy have to talk about? No, it's not an attack. This is always for educational purposes and for us trying to figure things out to better our community as a whole, right? And it's always with positivity and love. So here we go. Feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability. The reason why this stuff is not working out and the reason why the black community has a lot of work that we need to do collectively and individually is because feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability are not things that are, at least from my own experience, it's not nurtured or promoted within the black community, and we can see it in our behavior. Feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability, we could see it in our behavior. You could disagree with me, come in the comments, be respectful. Again, my delete finger is superb. I just delete you if you're disrespectful. I'm not even going to entertain you. But anyway, feelings, intimacy, and vulnerability. So now, as a whole, as a community, we don't do a good job at expressing ourselves, right? We express ourselves with violence through actions, but we don't express why we're upset. We don't even know how to engage properly. I used to, I mentioned before in previous videos that I would insert the Candace Owens clip of her speaking on black people not being able to address issues. We don't address issues. We don't address issues. Let me look for Candace Owens thing on black people. But basically, what Candace Owens was saying is we don't know how to reconcile and deal with issues properly. We're very emotional. We're very aggressive. We're very destructive. And I don't even have time to pull up the Candace clip. But the point is we haven't elevated to a point where we handle things like adults. To just put it just plainly put it, right? We haven't reached a point collectively of handling situations, altercations as adults. Why? Because we lack vulnerability, feelings, and all those things that other communities have been able to handle. And we're not saying that other communities don't do some of the things that we do, because they do. But we, unfortunately, are always on the spotlight when we do less than. We're always on the spotlight. We're always in the spotlight, I should say, for doing less than, right? And so in terms of the relationship between black males and black women, we don't express our pain to each other respectfully. We don't even communicate respectfully. And like the first video I spoke on is our initial interaction. Black men don't want to deal with women who are super aggressive, who are just nasty attitudes, who have foul language. And I'm not saying women should want to deal with men that conduct themselves in that manner also. But what I am saying is our initial reaction is so bad that you wonder why we just never get it together. Now, there are some situations where black men and black women do get along, but that's also because I'm sure that they're able to speak, they're able to display their feelings, and they're vulnerable towards each other. But for the relationships between black women and black men that don't work out is because they don't communicate well. He didn't mention the word communicate, but I'm gonna insert that. Communication's poor. There's no vulnerability, and they don't express their feelings. And another thing is also, when we separate, we have to be able to be mature adults and not indulge in publicly speaking on private things that were given within the relationship. And what do I mean by that? I mean what's going on right now with Remy Ma and Papoose. Their representation of some black relationships, and you can say, oh, it happens in other nationalities. Once again, the other nationalities are not necessarily thrown underneath the spotlight like we are. When we do things like this, it is put underneath a microscope, and the whole world watches, and they assume we all act like this. And that's part of the reason why in some relationships people don't like being vulnerable, because there's always that fear of, if the relationship doesn't work out, oh, is my partner going to go tell the world what I told them? Think about it. So I do understand on both sides why there's a lack of vulnerability, because of situations like what's going on with Papoose and Remy Ma, right? But this is not to digress and speak about Papoose and Remy Ma, but feelings. In the black community, feelings is not something that is heavily promoted. It's either one or the other. It's either you're soft, quote unquote soft, or you're tough. Those are the only two things that, and I'm speaking from the black community now. That's the only two things, and correct me if I'm wrong. Dispute me if you feel I'm wrong. The only thing that we learn in the black community, and I'm saying this as a male, I can't speak for females. I really can. I never will be able to speak for females. Females need to speak for themselves. I'm speaking as a male. As a male, only thing I knew growing up was either you're soft or you're tough. There was no in between. You're soft or you're tough. Are you soft or you're tough? Are you a pushover, or do you stand up for something? Do you stand up for yourself? Do you stand up for a cause? Soft or tough? That's the only thing we learn. As far as feelings are concerned, feelings was something that coming up I just learned from watching my father and speaking to other males, and by no means are those things even the right things that I learned from. And that's not to talk down on my father or the males that I interacted with, but some of those things may not have been the perfect examples. Again, soft or tough. Feelings, there's no expressing feelings. And if there was any emotions, I made sure I did it behind closed doors. If I was crying, it was behind closed doors. I tried not to cry in public. And if I cried in public, it was like it was because I felt like I couldn't help myself. But I did my best not to, because that was like not manly to do. You don't cry in public. You don't cry at all. But if you cry, you better be doing it behind closed doors. Don't let people see you crying. And don't be one of those guys that every 5 seconds you're crying for something. That's out of the question. That's and by all means, if anything I'm saying resonates with some of you, agree with me in the comments. Don't just watch the video and say nothing in the comments, because this is about engagement, whether or not you agree with me or not, right? So feelings, we don't communicate feelings to one another. Black men don't communicate. I don't believe black men communicate feelings enough to females for the obvious reason, to black females for the obvious reasons. And then if you wonder why black men may go to another nationality, it's not because we hate black women or we hate women. It's because other nationalities grow up in cultures of embracing feelings, vulnerability. They're softer. Now, it might sound like an attack on black women, but what black men and black women alike need to admit is that in our community, we have just been taught and raised to be very stoic, very aggressive, because it's a competitive competitive environment. It's pretty much fight or get walked over. Environments, the black community is a harsh community to be raised in. So I'm not by no means persecuting black women on no account, But I think as a whole, what we both need to admit, black women and black men need to be side by side in agreeing at the point that I just made, which is we were raised in environments that are dysfunctional. Let's start there. Let's both come together and just on TikTok agree that we were raised in dysfunctional circumstances, which is why we interact with each other the way we do. Let's start there. We have to start there. We can't just be pointing fingers. Oh, black women, this is why we're passport bros, because black women are like this. And black women shouldn't be looking at black men and saying, oh, well, we're doing this because black men. How about we both agree that the black community is dysfunctional? But what we need to do is not just dwell in the dysfunction. We need to address it, acknowledge it, and respectfully figure out ways to make it better. But we don't do that. We don't do that. Conflict resolution. That's what Candace Owens was speaking about. Black community doesn't do a good job at conflict resolution. It just came to me now. But yeah, until we do that, until we have a adult conversation, which we pick and choose when we want to be adults also, until we have that conversation, it doesn't have to be on public spaces. It doesn't have to be on TikTok. It doesn't have to be on X. It doesn't have to be on Facebook. We need to privately work on ourselves. It could be conventions where camera phones are not allowed. You pay for the convention, you leave your phones with the security at the door. And we discuss these things. But we need to figure something out, because we destroy ourselves. We do. Let me move on to the next video.
So for the black men that don't date black women, or y'all hate black women, y'all, for whatever reason, y'all can't stand black women. So first and foremost, dumbasses, you hate your motherfucking self. Who created you? Who cookies you came the fuck out of? You know what I'm saying? So if you hate black women, you hate yourself. Your mama is a black fucking woman. She should have swallowed your dumb ass. For real. In real life. But I'm telling you, women, who gives a fuck? Y'all stop crying and whining because they don't motherfucking, they holler about they don't fuck with black women. Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? Let the other women have their motherfucking potential. The niggas that only have potential and you 99, you still ain't got shit but motherfucking potential. Let them have the motherfucking niggas that want you to ride the fuck with them and they ain't showed and prove you a motherfucking thing. Let them have them lying ass motherfucking scheming ass down low, punk ass, fruit booty ass, broke ass, baby. Let them have them stinking skin ass motherfucking niggas. Who cares? If they don't want black women, goddamn it, keep it pushing. Who cares? Y'all, why? Y'all look at something foreign yourself. Start looking at y'all something foreign. Yeah, and start putting y'all energy into them niggas. If they don't motherfucking want you, who gives a fuck? Keep it pushing. Yes.
All right, so I'm going to stop her here. Why? Because it's only 1 minute and 34 seconds, and I just can't take her language. All right, this clip, as you can see, she spoke for 3 minutes and 53 seconds. I just can't do it. And she has the right to her opinion. As I said before, her language alone would be a turnoff. Now, I don't know what type of person she could be. She could be an excellent cook. I don't know what else she would be good at. Whatever her profession is, maybe she's good at whatever she does professionally. But that language, it's a turnoff. It's a turnoff. I can't imagine. I mean, maybe she's just passionate. I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt because I don't want to bash her, but maybe when it's a different topic, this topic seems to be triggering her. I'm gonna just give her that benefit of the doubt. Maybe on a different topic, she speaks better than this, but this right here, women that speak like her, using that type of language, you're always gonna lose. All right, unless you find someone who's a male version of you that speaks like that also, and then you're gonna have a great household, and you're gonna have a great household and great offspring also. And yes, I'm being sarcastic. I'm being very sarcastic. And see, that's another part of the community that we need to acknowledge, right, as a whole, is that there's women like her in our community that have children with men that speak like and act like her, right? Well, speak like her, because I don't know how she acts. We're just going off of her speech, what she's saying. There's men that speak like her. They have children. They speak like this in front of the children, and they breed the generation that I speak against. All right? This is just a fact. You don't have to like what I'm saying, but I'm speaking my truth on this. I feel like, we're constantly the community of blacks that are striving for better in the way we conduct ourselves, the way we speak, the way the way we educate ourselves, we stay abreast on world issues, history, things of that nature. We just try to progress, right? There's a community of us that try to progress, and there's a community of us that just live off of ignorance. They're breeding children, we're breeding children, and we have to somehow function together in a community and in this world, and we're always clashing, right? There's a community of people that only respect blacks that have done time in jail, and they salute them as if they got a master's degree. I spoke about this before in other episodes. There's a community of us in the black community that salute people that come out of jail bids as if they just got their masters. All right? There's a community of us in the black community that, we salute alcoholism. I was just talking to my colleague about this the other day. I enjoy a good drink on vacation or a special event, but I don't need alcohol. And I'm not saying that to sound like I'm better than those that like to drink. But in the black community, we promote alcoholism until it's no longer good, right? So, music videos, alcohol, you know, name it. You just name it. Music videos, movies, we promote alcoholism until the people that, watch these type of images hit rock bottom, and they lose themselves to it. They lose themselves to the alcohol, the alcoholism, the drugs. We promote that in the black community, but then we don't necessarily speak against it when it's tearing families apart. When the alcoholism is tearing families apart, when the drugs are tearing family members apart. We have a lot of work to do in the black community. And until, again, we admit that this is bigger than just what people perceive it to be as black men don't like black women, the black community is dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional, it's destructive. And until we understand that both black women and black men are coming from that community, they were raised in that community, they were exposed to images from that community. Until we understand that and acknowledge that, we're just doing circles. We're going to keep repeating these conversations about black men don't like black women, which is not true. Men make choices for various reasons, but part of the reasons why they probably go to other nationalities is because, again, maybe they see a softer side. And this is not to say that there's no black women out there that have a softer side, but the truth is, there are some that don't have that soft side, that are very aggressive, very vulgar. And then you're mad at the black male for choosing another nationality that may be softer, might be understanding. He could express himself after a hard day at work. He could express himself without feeling like you're gonna talk about it on Facebook as a post, or you're gonna air him out to these are some things that that maybe other nationalities don't necessarily do. Sometimes they do, because we're all human. But these may be some of the reasons why black males choose to step out of their nationality, But there's a bigger picture. Let's go to the next video.
Out there who are confused as to why a man would be in a full-fledged relationship with you, commit to you, marry you, and all of that, but treat you horribly. And you don't understand why men can stay in situations that they're miserable in, or they're not unhappy in, or whatever. It's because they don't like you. And in most cases, men like this don't like women at all. Okay. So there's two groups of men when it comes to how men feel about women, right? There could be three in a sense where there's a neutral point, like somewhere in the middle. But I'm just going to focus on the two extremes. Okay. One group of men believe that women are miraculous. They're like the things that we're able to do, the way that we can go through pregnancies and give birth, how we can multitask, the way we love and nurture people, blah, 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 blah. Some men are so fascinated by that. They're like, they revere women. They're like, wow. Now, typically, a lot of these men are gay, the ones who can appreciate it. A lot of them are. But there still are a lot of straight men who revere women. They just think the world of women. They think highly of women, right? Then you have the other group that I think is over half, in my opinion, of men who absolutely are jealous of women. Absolutely jealous. Now, you might say, how can a man be jealous of a woman? Easy. Every man on the planet, whether he wants to admit this or acknowledge it or not, every man on the planet knows that he had to pass through the vaginal walls of a woman in order to even be here. So whenever you hear men say, men built the world, I'm like, and B, what's your point? Women birthed the world. You wouldn't be here building nothing if you didn't pass through the vag of a woman in order to get here.
Normally I respond at the end of the video, or at least I try to, but this is just dumb. This is just dumb. So she's saying that men don't like women because we have to pass through their walls. We need a stronger argument than this. All right, we need a stronger argument than this. This cannot be the, that cannot be the the answer to this whole black men don't like black women is because at birth we exit the vaginal walls. There would be no babies if the man doesn't have intercourse with a female and give his sperm to the female. This is just, it's we both work hand in hand. That type of argument that the direction she's going in is just idiotic to me because it's going to take the sperm, it's going to take the sperm being inserted into the female, it's going to take the woman to receive the sperm, and her body does what her body does to create the baby. It's taking both parties to create a life. All right. And so the women that lean on the whole that they give birth, and so that they're more important because they give birth, you can't give birth without having a man. The man needs you, you need the man. We both need each other when it comes to procreation. This can't be that can't be her go-to for an argument. It's just idiotic. It's just idiotic. If you disagree, I'll see you in the comments. As always, keep it respectful. My delete finger is always on deck. Let's continue. Let me hear what else she has to say.
Either swallowed or shunned a bore. Shout out to Zumi, right? Y'all know what I'm saying. You wouldn't be here. So the woman decided, y'all can talk about it takes a man and a woman to create life if you want to, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? At the end of the day, if that woman
who cares? Who cares? That's a very important part of the whole process. That's not something you can just who cares? A very important part of how production is done. Procreation is done. It's not a who cares thing. You see, I don't understand some women that speak like her. I don't. You can't just brush that off.
she's going to keep it or shun a bore, that's her decision at the end of the day. She's the one with the last decision. And there are a group of men who absolutely...
First of all, if we're going to talk about biblically, women came from Adam's ribs. All right? And that's for those of you who actually subscribe to, religious beliefs. If you don't, as always, that's fine. That's your choice. But woman came from man. Woman. That's not my truth. That's just the reality. Women came from man. All right? So to act as though because women actually carry the baby and then give birth to the baby, that puts you in a position of more value than the man. That's just ridiculous. But let's continue.
We hate that is the facts. They hate that concept, right? And they're jealous of the fact that they think women go through life and they think we got it easy. So they do things to make it hard. They sit by and they love seeing us suffer. They love seeing us cry. They love when men leave them to be single mother.
What type of guy has she dated? Because Lord knows, as hard as it is out here in this world, I don't have time to relish in someone else's suffering. I have my own suffering I deal with. And for those of you men that could relate and agree, by all means, could you please go in the comments and state that you agree with some of the things I'm saying? This channel is for interaction. I know this channel's still on the rise, and I appreciate those of you that hit that subscribe button. But come on, I need more people, more individuals that are watching this video to be in the comments with a clear position on the topics. All right. The haters, they come from time to time. They get bored. They log on and they leave their little comments. And then I use my superb delete button index finger to get them out of here. But I need you guys to really put some input on these topics that I indulge in. But this is just, what she's saying is ridiculous. I'm giving her a chance to say something profound, but what she's saying is just ridiculous. men being jealous of women giving birth. First of all, I do not. That's one of the reasons why I'm glad I was born a guy, right? Because I know you women endure a lot during the pregnancy, during the carrying the baby, to delivering. You know, I do not envy that, not one bit. You guys can keep that, all right? You guys can definitely keep that. And I'll be the first to say that you guys endure a lot, especially black women, you know, and women as a whole. You endure a lot. You deal with men sexualizing you. Me as a guy, I'm glad I'm a man because I don't have to deal with that. Like, I couldn't deal with having to walk the streets and different hecklers every single second of the day. Everywhere you walk, everywhere you go, somebody's trying to holler at you or something like that. And, you know, some women experience it, some don't because maybe they're not as attractive as others. But being a woman, you guys could have that. So I don't know what guys she's talking about as far as envious of women for the things that she's mentioning. But no, you guys could keep that. Keep it all. I'm glad I'm a guy. I'm absolutely elated that I'm a guy. But let's continue.
Whenever anything a woman goes through, this group of men secretly or sometimes outwardly relish in your pain. Like they're just somewhere like, oh my God, that's exactly what she get. And some of them will come out and just tell you like, ha ha ha, B, that's what you get, right? But they have their passive aggressive ways. Like they'll say stuff like, you should have chose better because you didn't choose them. Stuff like that.
I only relish when I'm only on the defensive in terms of that. So if black women or a black woman relishes on my downfall, or if they give me negative energy, and if something goes wrong for them, I'll admit it's a flaw. I relish in it. But that's not just a black woman thing. That's on any female or any male. If anyone's preying on my downfall and they should have a downfall, I enjoy that a little bit. Can't lie. I enjoy it a little bit. Now, I never said I was perfect, so I'm just telling you the truth. What you will get when you tune into this channel is real talk. I'm not here to act as though I'm some better than on a pulpit. That's not me. But I'm gonna give you real talk. A few months back, I dealt with a situation, and within that situation, there was 2 black women involved in the situation, as far as that I had to communicate with, and both black women, during a serious moment, found time to chuckle at my, what's the word I need to use? They found time to chuckle at a serious situation that involved me and involved my financial future, and these 2 black women found time to chuckle. And yes, I'm putting it very vaguely because I don't want to go into the situation. But I'll be honest with you, those 2 black women, and it was 2 black women, maybe at one point it was 1 Hispanic woman and 2 Hispanic men. So 5 people in total. Not all at the same time. It was different interactions. But the 2 black women both found times to chuckle at my demise, right, during a serious matter. And I didn't forget that. I didn't forget that up until even yesterday. I just thought about it. And this was a few months ago. I didn't forget it until yesterday. And I said to myself, you know, and I know I'm wrong for saying this, I said, I hope karma comes back for them. Because regardless of what it is, when it's time to be professional, just remain professional. Don't ever laugh at someone's demise, because you may meet your day. And if not you, maybe a loved one. Maybe a loved one. Where they're in a situation where you're going to want someone to be professional and you wouldn't want someone laughing at your loved one, or you for that matter. So in situations like what she's speaking on, I don't relish off anybody's demise. And of course, she's obviously speaking about situations she's been through. She must have been through some type of hell with some guy that makes her speak like this. But I don't relish off anyone's demise unless they've relished on mine. It's a two-way street for me, and I know it's not the right thing to promote, but for me, it's a two-way street. You can't possibly laugh in my face at my demise and think I'm gonna have love for you. And I know, you know, as a Christian, that's not how I should conduct myself. But like I said, I'm not perfect. But you laugh in my face at my demise, I'm not wishing you well. I'm not gonna wish you death, but I'm not wishing you well. I'm gonna wish you. I'm gonna wish you a similar experience. Because just be professional, you know, just be professional. That's all I ask for, you know. But I digress as always. I'm gonna play a little bit more from her because she's rambling and the stuff she's saying honestly is just so idiotic to me that I don't even want to finish her video. And she has 8 minutes. No, there's no way I'm gonna listen to 8 minutes of what she has to say. And that's not because I don't like black women. It's because she's just not making any sense with what she's saying.
Right? This group of men hate women. Okay? Now, the reason why they can get in relationships with women is because they need women for our services and our free labor. So I think if a lot of them could find other males that would cook for them every day and clean for them and satisfy their sexual needs and do their laundry and all.
You see, now she's playing herself. See, this is not a serious. Listen, and in all fairness, when I do my videos, I put a little bit of everybody in there because I don't want it to be one-sided where it's like, oh, he only plays males' perspectives. I play female perspectives. I play females who appear to be intellectuals, and I play those that don't seem to be much of intellectuals. Now, I'm not saying she's not an intelligent person, but what she's saying is far from thought out. It sounds completely just off of emotion, which I'm not surprised by that. But listen, I put it all out so you can see directly in your face how, you know, the black community needs to work on themselves. We need to work on ourselves within the black community. And if you disagree with that, then you're in denial. All right, that's not even something that is an opinion at this point. The black community needs to work on themselves. All right. I think I skipped one. Yes, I believe I skipped him. I'm gonna end it with this gentleman right here.
You know, my nephew got a little DUI, so I had to take him to court. He couldn't drive. He didn't want the judge to know that he's driving. Well, I'm not confessing that he's driving. But the moral of the story is, while we were waiting for them to call his name, it was 6 cases within less than an hour, and all of them was domestic abuse. And it was black men beating up on black women. I gotta say, black men do not like black women. I don't know why you even date them. Why even entertain it? Why even ask that woman for her number if you know you don't like the black race? That's it, man. You don't like the black race. It has to stem with your mother. It has to stem with your sister, your daughter. It's something, because ain't no way in hell you gonna confess your love to a black woman and then raise your hand to try to hurt her. I know in the past I've said some stuff to women, verbal, and my verbiage been off the hook. But since I found God and some therapy, I don't even give a woman a satisfaction, even if she's wrong or right. And some of these men, I don't even argue with these men because most of them are pussy. So I know I ain't even gotta say nothing to them. I just let them say what they're gonna say, as long as they don't put their hands on me. But back to us black men, god damn. Does it give you inches? Does it make you 6 feet tall? Does it make you 50 pounds heavier? Putting your hand on a black woman? Phenomenal.
All right. As I mentioned, I'm going to end it with what he had to say. And my thoughts on what he said is, first of all, black men that put hands on black women is not directly an indication of the black man not liking black women. That's just the black men that have either been raised seeing that same type of behavior, or it's a sign of or a combination of both. It's either they've seen that, they were raised in that type of environment, or they just don't they're insecure and they lack confidence, so they try to control by physically dominating the female. And that's not a black men don't like black women thing, because I think men that do things like that would do that to any female they're with. I don't think they just choose to do it to black women. I highly doubt that they just do that to black women. Men that have the tendency of putting hands on women will put hands on any woman. That's my stance. So that if you disagree with me, I'll see you in the comments. But I believe once men are comfortable with putting hands on women, they'll do that to any female. But in any event, I think that is the poorest version of a man. All right, because I was raised that if you put and I spoke about this in a previous video also, if you put your hand on a female, that was definitely a sign that you're weak as a man. And for me, coming up into adulthood, I always kept that in the back of my mind, and I didn't want to be perceived as a weak man. So I never wanted to fall in that category as a man who puts hands on a female. So yeah, those men need counseling, they need therapy, and they need God. And that's what I have to say on that. But that's all I have on this episode. Again, if you have any thoughts on any of what any of these people said off of TikTok, I'll see you in the comments. But at the core of all of this, I don't think it's black men don't like black women. I think the black community as a whole need to do some work. We need discussion needs to be had about the trauma, and within that discussion, it's not something that needs to be done publicly. We're not at that point to share the information publicly. All right, because when it's public, you're not going to get the most you're not going to get vulnerability off of a public setting. It needs to be privately done. And that's my thoughts on it. Again, maybe it could be a convention of sort. You go city to city, town to town, but no phone recordings, because when people are speaking about vulnerable situations, they don't necessarily want that to be the trending thing on TikTok. They don't want a short video clip of someone posting something they said at a convention. If black people are really serious about working on their trauma, that's a possible solution or a step forward. But I don't think it's so easy. It's not black and white to say black men don't like black women. I don't believe that's true at all. There's plenty of black men and women that are married successfully or in relationships successfully. When you start putting things like that out there, it's similar to the book that I from time to time mention, The Secret. It's like you're putting that out into the universe. You're making that law by speaking on it like that. That's not the truth. Black men love black women, and black women love black men. Now, there's some of us that don't get along, and there's some of us that do get along. But that's my thoughts on the topic. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.